for Cyber Pitch, organized by Hatch Pitch. Leading that is Greg White. Greg is also a member of Cyber Houston. Hey, Greg, how you doing?
Phil, how you doing? It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Greg, you're an advisor and innovation strategist for technology companies and the founder of Hatch Pitch. You've served as Chief Technology Officer for 3 companies and played leadership roles in top-tier consulting firms serving Fortune 500 companies. You've participated in all aspects of startup businesses, vision, strategy development, operation funding, and sale. You developed multiple startup education and mentoring programs, including Hughes Technology Center's Ignition, Surge Accelerator, and South by Southwest Pitch. You've judged and mentored over 400 startups, served as lecturer and entrepreneur in residence at the University of Houston's Bauer School of Business, teaching technology entrepreneurship, mentoring students, staff, and faculty entrepreneurs. Greg, it's impressive credentials that you have. Love what you're doing. I am going to drop off to give you the space, and thanks for doing this. We'll see. I'll be watching from the other side.
Great. Thanks, Phil. It's always good to have you on, and really appreciate you and the rest of our chairs of the event to giving Hatch Pitch such an important slot during the event. I also want to take a moment to thank Umesh Verma for supporting Hatch Pitch since its inception in 2012 and for helping me create Cyber Pitch, the event we're about to see today. Now, Hatch Pitch has been around for nearly 10 years. Our goal is to support startups in the use of information technology to make life better. And I'm pleased to host 4 startups making life better for us online with their digital solutions to cybersecurity, privacy, and safety. And I know that they are super excited to present to this awesome audience of cyber executives and professionals. This morning, Umesh said, we cooperate in the morning and we compete in the afternoon, and that's what this is. Cyber Pitch, it's a competition for these 4 startups. They've been picked from hundreds of applicants, and we feel like these are the right fit for this audience and for this judging pool. I just want to mention a little bit of the impact of Hatch Pitch. Our startups since 2012 have raised over $400 million, and 11 of them have enjoyed an exit. And we'll actually be speaking to some of those who have exited today, who are going to be on our judging panel. Now, we have a whole lot of judges. We've got a bunch of judges on the YouTube live stream. So they'll be watching on YouTube and they'll be interacting in the chat. Our teams, in some cases, will actually be interacting with them. So that is a definite place to go if you want to see some interactivity. And we have, as I say, a whole bunch of judges. I can see Mark Strike, welcome back, Katie Baker, Joni Cobb, Thor Schuler. Thanks for being with us. And then we've got some new judges today. I see Stephen Webster, Joey Sanchez, hi Joey, and Justin Kalhoff, Marcus Carey. Thank you all for joining us on as scoring judges. Now these are the judges who are going to be there scoring these teams, as well as interacting on the live stream. Now on camera, we're going to have 3 judges who will give direct feedback and ask questions of the finalists. And I'm going to introduce you to them now. Richard Manassi, he has been a judge with us since 2018. He comes to us from Tampa Bay Wave, where, he's going to tell us about this in a moment. And he's also been on the South by Southwest Pitch Advisory Board, and that's, I think, how he got to hear about Hatch Pitch in the first place. And I think he said, hey, I want to be more involved directly in the coaching and the judging, and so he's been a fantastic addition to our team since 2018. Now, Richard, you're doing something very exciting in cyberspace. If you can unmute yourself, tell us about that. Tell us about what you guys are up to.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and thanks for having me today. So at the Tampa Bay Wave, we are entering into our second year of a cybersecurity-focused accelerator program called the CyberTech X program. We launched the initial year last year, excuse me, with 15 companies from throughout the U.S. and one from the U.K. Those companies did quite well. In fact, one of them has been acquired by Sophos, Thoma Bravo backed out of UK. Another one was actually acquired as well. That company was out of Madison, Wisconsin. So very excited to be on board today. And also one more thing, we've added to our roster. So we have a specialized advisory council for that particular cohort, led by people from Bank of America, Raymond James, Jabil, Digital Hands, US SOCOM, multiple other military people, as well as Cyber Florida and more. So a lot of value for the startups coming through, and very happy to support you, Greg, and the Hatch Pitch competition here in 2021.
Great to have you back, Richard. Let me go right on. Joseph Kopser was one of our winners at the inaugural Hatch Pitch in 2012. His company, RightScout, was one of the first, well, in fact, it was the first Hatch Pitch company to enjoy an exit when it was acquired by Daimler. And so, Joseph, you've got a military background and you've got a diverse career of really making life better through your service, through your startups. We've been friends since 2012, and it's just amazing the stuff that you get into. What's on your mind these days? What are you up to these days?
Well, first of all, Greg, thanks for inviting me back. Huge fan of Hatch Pitch and for Cyber Houston for putting this on. Really, what I've been up to is no different than I was doing in the military. All entrepreneurs like we'll meet today, when they see a problem, they want to go and fix it. And that's what I'm all about. So as you mentioned, 2012, that was how RightScout kind of got on the map. A few years later, we sold to Mercedes. And in various forms, I've tried to extend public service in different ways, but all of them have something in common, which is trying to pay it forward. And in this particular context today, as a judge, I'm looking forward to seeing so many of these new ideas and companies. You know, I look into the chat and I see Marcus and Mark Nathan and others that I've been working with over the years, Marcus Carey. It's a community. And so even though I may be here in Texas because of the nature of our work with Gray Line Group, we're able to help startups and help companies grow really anywhere that they exist in the world. So when I'm done here and I go quiet, I'll drop my information in the YouTube group chat for folks that are participating at home. Hopefully we can stay connected, and I look forward to seeing how we can help you grow your company, because in the end, when more people are participating in the economy, it's good for everybody. So thanks again, Greg and Cyber Houston, for having me.
Thanks, Joseph. Great to have you on board. Now, Steve Forte also has vast experience both sides of the funding table. Steve came to us back in 2013, and he was a CTO, but now you're a VC. So how did you get involved? How did you get to where you are today?
Yes, well, thanks for having me. And briefly, as I was either the co-founder or one of the earliest members of 5 different venture-backed startups over the course of the first 20 years or so of my career, dating back to the dot-com era. So I've got some mileage on me, or kilometers on me. But that said, is learning from working at those as an operator at those venture-backed companies. All those venture-backed companies went through some M&A exit, and somehow that qualified me to become a venture capitalist about 6 years ago or so. We myself and 2 other partners founded a VC fund called Presto Capital, which is a global VC fund and invest in early stage startups. Also ran a couple of accelerators too. I think Joseph just mentioned that as well. So have definitely been involved at the very early stage, and it's pretty much my passion. And it's for similar reasons. I've been the benefit of great mentorship, great advice. I've always found the ecosystem and the community so welcoming when I had questions. Dating back to the 1990s, right? So I've always tried to pay it forward, and been happy to work with Hatch Pitch, as you said, for quite some time now. So glad to be back.
Great. Fantastic to have you back, Steve. And now pulling this all together is our MC, Kate Bosheral, all the way from the UK. It's great to see you, Kate. Good to see you, and glad you can stay up this late. I know you had to sleep during the day today. Kate was a Hatch Pitch finalist in 2015 at South by Southwest. And really, you've been involved ever since, Kate. You've hosted breakouts for Hatch Pitch Summit. You've been our MC for all of our virtual events so far. You're a digital strategist, and you've written books about cybercrime. Tell us a little bit about your book and then take us right into the competition, if you will.
Certainly.
And I'll see you at the end.
You will. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Greg. I'm really delighted to be here once again. As Greg said, I'm Kate Borcherel, and I'm a writer, I'm a speaker, I'm a digital strategist specializing in emerging tech. And my background's in both finance and tech, and I've co-founded 3 startups, one of which was a Hatch finalist in 2015 before it was acquired. And I've got that particular interest in cybersecurity, so CyberPitch is a match made in heaven. And a few years ago, I was asked to write a book about cybersecurity, a serious one. But after a little while, they asked me if I could write it as fiction, because people learn background knowledge and good behaviors from reading stories. And it's a really great way to change habits for the better. And I said, well, don't be silly. I can't write fiction. And that was 3.5 books ago. And if you want to check them out, the box set was released just last month on Amazon and in bookstores. So enough about me. We have some great stories here this afternoon with our fantastic CyberPitch finalists. So let's get started and look at how our time together is going to be spent. So we will start off with the pitches from 4 fabulous startups, followed by judges' feedback and questions. And then by 4:30, the pitching rounds will end, and there'll be time for you, the audience, and for the judges to cast your votes and submit feedback for all the teams. Voting will end promptly at 4:45, and the winners will be announced at 5 p.m. And in between the casting of the votes and the winner's announcement, George Reeves from the Department of Homeland Security will be giving the keynote speech. So let's go over the details. What you're going to see is each team pitching for 3 minutes, followed by 7 minutes of feedback and questions from the judges. And as a reminder, everyone gets to vote. So you at home, you need to be voting. Use the QR code or the bit.ly link, they go to the same place, and access that scorecard to submit your feedback and your votes for the winners. So find that now. Keep it open through the whole session before you submit. After each pitch, we'd love you to record your honest, in-the-moment thoughts for the presenting team to see after the event. And then once all of the pitches are over, scroll to the ranking section, cast your vote, and then, and only then, hit submit. What's at stake? We have the Audience Favourite Award, which is what you need to be voting for, and the Judges Award, from the judges that Greg has just introduced. So, without further ado, our 4 finalists are Allthenticate, which will be presented by Chad Spensky, RankedRight, presented by Thomas Mackenzie, Trustpage, presented by Chase Lee, and Stash Global Inc., presented by Janine Darling. So, if we could have Chad Spensky on stage, please, to introduce Allthenticate. Come on up, Chad.
Howdy, is the audio and everything working? All right, so I am very pleased to introduce you to Allthenticate, a company that is going to make every day of your life more secure and a little bit less frustrating. And I'm very sorry to say this, but Houston, we have a problem. The world's authentication mechanisms are reaching a tipping point. Really, as a practitioner, a hacker, and now a founder and an ex-academic, I can assure you that we can go no farther with the existing authentication mechanisms. And since every startup needs a hockey stick graft, this pitch is no exception. Credential-based attacks are at an all-time high and growing exponentially. If you watch the news, I'm sure you see these kind of attacks every day. In fact, 80% of companies report being phished in the last few years. Economic costs are also at an all-time high and growing exponentially, costing the economy billions every year in these simple credential attacks. And I don't have to tell anybody this, user frustration is also growing at an exponential rate. And the reason for this is that we've gotten in a case where more is not always better. If you think about your daily life, and especially your life at work, you're confronted with a ton of different authentication mechanisms every day, yet they don't seem to be working, right? Why are all of these other costs and everything growing at an exponential rate? That's because all of these solutions are simple band-aids. The dam is breaking, and we just keep trying to plug individual holes instead of taking a step back and rebuilding a new dam. So I'm very confident, I'm actually at one of the top conferences in the world right now, broadcasting to you, that all of these mechanisms will die. The key, the smart card, the password, in the next couple years, the next 5, 10 years, they will be completely gone. And a revolution needs to happen. Or as a society, we will remain stagnant and the hackers will win. At Allthenticate, we not only think that we can do better, we've already done better. And in fact, we've done much better. We've created a system that is far more secure and far more usable than anything on the market today. The way this works is that when you hire your employees, you'll onboard them on their smartphone, and this smartphone uses really sophisticated hardware-backed security and then unlocks everything for them in the workplace. It unlocks their doors with hardware that we build and ship. It can log them into any of their company websites and also unlock any of their computers. In the limit, this can also unlock company cars. Why would you want to authenticate? The world's infrastructure and your company are going to be far more secure. People are going to be far happier and more productive. Both the employees and the administrators enjoy a seamless and stress-free experience. And ultimately, companies are going to save a lot of money by unifying all of these systems into one secure, easy-to-use solution. So the revolution is happening, whether you like it or not, but I welcome you. Join us on the authentication revolution. Thank you.
So much. That was fantastic, Chad, and on the nail. I love that. Do I have a first question from one of our 3 judges? Oh, Joseph, go ahead.
Yeah, so I get the concept, big picture, but
Yeah.
lift up the hood and get a little deeper underneath and give us an idea, a little bit more of what's going on there.
Yeah, so my background, I have a doctorate in this. I've been doing this research forever. So it's kind of, if you take a smart card that has, all the hardware-backed security kind of things on your credit card, your phones already have all of that built in. So we store a secure private key on the phone, and then we've built out all of the infrastructure for everything to communicate. And it's a fully distributed system. So, if the internet goes down, the phone can still unlock everything. And then we as a company, what we do is we distribute the access control list for you.
So you provide the hardware in addition to the phone, the chip in the phone.
Yeah, there's software that you install on your computer. And then if you want to augment your doors, we ship you this very sleek looking hardware that actually can also function as a light switch if you want to minimize construction costs.
Okay.
Thanks.
Can you talk a little bit about your team, please?
Yeah, so I'm leading the team. Like I said, I have a doctorate, a bunch of background in this. My other co-founder has a master's in electrical engineering. So that's the way that we're able to build hardware in-house and do all these designs and kind of really, really change the game in access control. It's something the world's never seen. And then my other co-founder is much more business oriented. So she's doing a lot of our sales and operations and has been really the person, driving our image out there. And then we have a rock star team of engineers that we got very, very lucky to hire. Our first hires, we kind of hit it out of the park. So we're very fortunate.
Excellent. Steve?
Yeah, I'm glad you said it works offline, because that was Facebook's problem trying to recover from their outage. They couldn't get into their server room because their system was offline. They could have used your solution. With that lead in, like someone like a Facebook, right, like a big enterprise, they move slow. What would be like your pricing model to bring folks like that on board, right? More for this recurring revenue. I mean, because the hardware will change over time. It's less interesting probably for an investor.
So our pricing model, we're actually a SaaS model. So right now we're just starting out at $10 a month per user. So there's just an overhead on every employee for security. We actually give the hardware away for free. So we've felt a lot of friction. People kind of, it's hard to convince people about the sunk cost fallacy. So they've just spent $50,000 on the system, or $500,000 in some cases, and they don't want to replace it. So for us, that's kind of for this experience and really to secure the company. We think the hardware is a nice to have. It really adds a lot. So, but we really like the SaaS model. So that's just a complementary perk in our case, and helps a little bit with friction.
Do we have a second question? Joseph?
Yeah, I am a little more trying to dial into the hardware side of it. So in that picture that you showed, I got the impression that I can walk up to a door, that door is going to be unlocked once I move through. So the actual installation of that mechanism that controls and locks and unlocks the door, who is installing that? And give us some sense of the complexity involved in doing that. You said it was sleek, but you're talking to a guy with 2 thumbs.
Yeah, so this is one of the things that I think we really changed the game on physical access control. If you can install a smart light switch, you can install our product. It actually fits in a standard electrical box. You can power it from 120 AC voltage or from DC voltage if you already ran infrastructure for your existing door locks. So you really don't need a highly sophisticated electrician or carpenter. Any electrician or even a do-it-yourselfer could really do it.
Okay.
I have a question that's come in from one of the scoring judge. Could you elaborate on how the technology is different or better than existing big players like CyberArk, RSA, Vasco, etc.?
Yeah, I can elaborate on it much more because I've been hanging out with them all week at this conference. So I alluded to it a little bit in my slide, but many of them are very laser focused. They want to solve the password login for a website problem, or they want to solve, unlocking a laptop problem. And I sort of think we actually re-architected everything. The fact that this is a fully distributed system, from a technology standpoint, the way we've architected it lets us do usability things that the competitors really can't compete with. So like I unlock my laptop by hitting enter. When I log into our administrative portal, if my phone is nearby, it just welcomes me. Like there is no interaction. We can unlock doors by walking up to them, and you don't have to get your phone out of your pocket. But because of the security that we're implementing, you could also ratchet that up all the way, and you could have everything require a biometric. So it really lets the end user, our customers, decide how annoying do I want to be to my employees for this particular action. And that's a huge differentiator on the usability side.
Thank you. We have time for one more question. Who's going to fight for that one?
So over when it comes to access control, companies like Unikey, for example, have been around for some time, and there are a couple others on the market as well. From a protectability standpoint, that's kind of, I guess, love for you to elaborate on that a little bit, given that there are people that do those sorts of things with regards to opening up access control, leveraging the phone.
Can you define what you mean by protectability, like our security, or
from let's say a patent perspective or anything like that?
Yeah, we did file a patent for our hardware. Like I kind of alluded to, that it's very, very different than anything that you've ever seen out there, and it's entirely designed in-house. Ideally, we do want to outsource that to some OEM vendor to kind of hit scale, so we can order millions of these and have someone with the manufacturing capacity. But we really are like an authentication company, though. So the access control portion of our company is a very nice cherry on top of a very, very beautiful foundation of this seamless authentication experience that really goes far beyond access control. And in fact, our biggest market is getting rid of passwords.
We have literally, can you give us 10-second answer? What happens when you change phones? What happens when you change your phone?
For companies, not a big deal. You get your new phone, you register it, you go to the admin, they verify you, you verify them. Off you go, brand new phone. It happens in seconds.
Fantastic. Chad, thank you so much. That was a fantastic way to start. And thank you for your efforts and good luck in the voting.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Just a reminder to everybody, please put your feedback, the thoughts of your moment into your feedback form. If you haven't yet got to that site, you're on the QR code just in the corner here. Now then, I would like to introduce our second presenter coming from the UK. We have Thomas McKenzie of RankedRight. Thomas, join me on the stage.
Hey, how's it going?
It's good. Over to you.
Thank you. So, as Kate said, my name's Thomas. I'm the founder and CEO of RankedRight. Back in 2018, I was asked to help an organization post a WannaCry outbreak. They were heavily impacted by the outbreak, and they wanted to do some work to figure out what they could do to help them in the future. One of the first things that I noticed was in their vulnerability management program, they were prioritizing their vulnerabilities based on the CVSS score. Now, you may not be aware, but the Eternal Blue exploit that allowed the propagation of the WannaCry malware actually wasn't considered the highest risk, a CVSS 10. This organization had over 1 million assets. They had thousands of CVSS 10 vulnerabilities, and over 70% of those vulnerabilities actually didn't have any known public way of exploiting them. So by their own admission, they had focused all of their time and attention on remediating and patching vulnerabilities that had no residual risk. Now, there are organizations out there right now that help you kind of get past CVSS. But there are two problems with them. The first is that they can be super expensive. And the second is they basically build these kind of secret algorithms, and these secret algorithms that nobody quite understands how they work. Now, if I, as a consultant in the past, if I'd have gone into an organization and said, hey, look, this is, what your risk appetite is, and this is what you should do, they would have laughed me out the door. Risk is personal. Risk appetite is produced by an organization. And I believe that prioritization of vulnerabilities needs to match that. So that's why we've built RankedRight. What we do is we ingest vulnerability data regardless of where it comes from, and then enrich that with vulnerability intelligence data that we're gathering at least 4 times per day from over 100 different resources. And then from that, we expose data points that allow you to create what we call triage rules or automated workflows, allowing you to prioritize vulnerabilities for different parts of your environment in a very specific way for you and your organization. Those rules can then be delegated to various different people within the organization so that you know that anytime somebody's actioning your vulnerabilities, they're doing it based upon the priorities that you and your business has aligned with your risk. We're building the world's first what we call suggestive vulnerability prioritization engine. So utilizing all of the telemetry from our customer data and understanding their SLAs and KPIs and the rules that they build, what we've basically done is essentially made it so that we understand how we can improve over time by building these intelligent models and saying, well, if you try X based upon others in your industry and others of your size, you can deliver continuous improvement and essentially get to remediation quicker. Now, I think a lot of us on this call will know that the market is growing in cybersecurity, but in vulnerability management specifically, the market is growing. And actually the largest vendors, the 3 main scanning vendors, are growing larger than the market year over year. At launch, we've attached ourselves to those scanning vendors and now support more and will continue to support more. So our serviceable market will grow as well. We're currently in the process of raising our next round. And if you want to hear more about what we're doing, let me know. But otherwise, I'm looking forward to the questions.
Thomas, that was fantastic. And welcome back to our judges. Who has the first question?
I'll happily take one. Oh, sorry, Joseph. Yeah.
Go ahead, Steve.
Go. Oh, okay, yeah, I have a pretty easy one. Is first of all, thank you for your presentation. And looking at what you're doing is, I feel like it's going to be difficult for some people until they're either hit with a vulnerability, right, to take you seriously or to take this threat seriously. So what is just talk to me a little bit about your market segmentation, like which are the industries and then what type of size of companies or style of companies you're going for in those industries?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, this is a cross market, like cross kind of like industry, like vertical thing, right? Like all organizations, especially if you think about regulated industries, have to do vulnerability scanning in some way, shape or form, typically. In terms of like what we're looking at though, the enterprise is quite heavily catered for right now and is able to stomach the cost of these solutions. However, one of the major problems that the mid-market have is they either don't know that this tech exists, or if they do, it's too expensive for them. So what we're doing is we're going after regulated industries in the mid-market who basically have never seen or can't afford this in the past.
So my question, I think, kind of builds on where Steve was going with this. I'm trying to imagine who your persona is that you're trying to talk to. Is it the risk management team? Is it the IT if they haven't, elevated cyber to the right level? Is it the CEO? Who do you have to convince to do this?
So this is the age-old question, right? So what we're finding at the moment in terms of the interest that we're gathering is that it's teams that have a relatively large estate, but have either been underfunded or have a very small cybersecurity capability. We recently did some research, and on average, organizations are spending anywhere between 8 and 15 hours per week doing manual vulnerability prioritization. So teams that are small, or as you said there, the cybersecurity capability is wrapped into the IT team because they don't have those people. Those are the people that we're going after. and helping them essentially get this done quicker and in an automated fashion.
What's your
Richard?
initial market traction?
Say that again, sorry, Richard.
So what's your current market traction?
So we basically started off. We signed 2 MSP partners relatively quickly. We have converted one of our pilot customers, and at the moment we're totally focused on product market fit, right? So just getting feedback and ensuring that we're building a product that is going to help the people that we're going after.
Quick question on your data sources. Are there any? Where do you get some of those data sources from? And are there any? And this is a very American question. Like, are there any liabilities that like where you're missing a data source, that someone comes back and sues you or things like that?
Sure, it's a great question, actually.
Now you see why I said it very fair.
We've been asked that question a lot. So we gather our data sources typically from open source databases, right? We do have a commercial partnership with one kind of commercial data feed. In terms of the way that we kind of limit our liability, obviously, like in the cybersecurity space, especially in this vulnerability management space, that we have to have legals in place, right? So things around, you're responsible for your data and you're responsible for how you prioritize them. That kind of usually puts people off, but ultimately our model is to work via managed service providers who are delivering vulnerability management as a service and can utilize this to optimize their delivery. That's our focus right now.
Question that's coming in on the comments. Could you talk a little bit more around the suggestive vulnerability prioritization?
Sure. Yeah, so there are kind of 2 angles to that, right? So as we ingest this vulnerability data and as we're able to understand the things that they're prioritizing themselves and how quick they're able to remediate across different parts of their environment, we'll be able to make suggestions on whether or not vulnerability should be prioritized higher, even if right now they're not as critical as they might be. So as an example, we may know that a particular class of vulnerability proliferates their exploits proliferate for those over a period of 3 months, but it may take you 2 months to actually remediate that vulnerability because of its asset and where it's located in your organization. So we can make a suggestion that says, hey, it's not part of your rule, but we've noticed that, and then prioritize that vulnerability up. That's one side. The second side is as we bring more customers on board, and we're about to launch the free version of the product to help with this, we're going to be able to say other organizations of your size, of your type, of the number of assets that you have been building these rules and have got better adherence to their SLAs and KPIs than you do. Have you thought about doing A, B, and C to improve your adherence? And that's the suggested vulnerability prioritization piece that we're talking.
Okay. Kate, do we have time for one more?
You certainly do.
So due to the technical nature of what you're trying to do, that the very people who understand most what you're doing are the very people you have that are building your system. So my question is, who are your salespeople? How do you take this very technical nature of what you're doing and have people who are strictly in sales try to sell this product? Where do you find them?
It's a great question because that's what's coming up right now, right? Like that's just, it's going from me to somebody else. So look, if you look at other organizations like us, our competitors, they've been very successful in this space, and one of the biggest players just been acquired by Cisco. So we know it can be done. In terms of the way that I would approach it, I have a background in both the technical side and the business side, right? I spent the last 3 years over at IBM as an associate partner. That was my job, was sales. So building sales teams and running that's my bag. My focus is on selling, on the need for getting to remediation quicker. Organizations are really struggling right now in meeting their SLAs and KPIs. And on top of that, are really struggling in certain cases like the one I mentioned at the start, where they're not focused on the right vulnerabilities. So, selling based on that need is important.
Fantastic. That wrapped up that question bang on the nail. Thank you so much. Our time is up with RankedRight, and I'm delighted to introduce our third finalist tonight. So please welcome Chase Lee from Trustpage. Chase, over to you. Unmute.
Sorry about that. Thanks, Kate. Hey, everybody. My name is Chase Lee. I'm the founder and CEO here at Trustpage. Our goal is to help software companies build trust better. So we let our customers self-serve when they have questions around security, removing friction from the sales process, and ultimately protecting your team's time. So our team, we've all been in software for a while. Many of us came from our last company. We're best places to work. And received quite a bit of traction in the Fortune 500, where we're able to deliver over 25 billion in lifetime value for our customers. So we built a great business last time around, but one of the things that we ran into while trying to grow was really whether or not we could sell through security and not let that be a hurdle, right? All of our buyers, as we were handling sensitive data, wanted to make sure that they could trust us with that data. And so our mission as a company is really to empower other teams to grow through security. And by making that easy, also empower security to be done better. The problem today is that trust is more important, yet harder than ever to achieve. So most teams really can't keep up with the process today. And so security for them becomes a hurdle, often in the sales process, as opposed to a competitive advantage. What we did at our last company was we ended up turning security into a competitive advantage, and we were really able to go on the offense with what we did from a security standpoint. So all the measures and investments that we were making in security actually helped us to drive sales. The problem today with this process is it's very hard to understand different questions. Most of it's happening in spreadsheets being passed around over email, which is also inherently insecure. And your sales and support teams really lose visibility and feedback into the process. And so it's really hard to know where you should be making investments next. So bottom line is, when it's hard to communicate trust between vendors and buyers, you slow down your sales pipeline, your customers are less happy, and everyone ends up doing a lot more work. So what we've built is what we call a Trust Center. It's an all-in-one collaborative hub for software vendors to communicate trust with their prospects and customers. And it's all backed by an AI-assisted interface to make it really easy for customers to get answers to their questions, as well as for your team to deliver those answers. So far, we've raised over $5 million in seed financing with some really great partners who are helping to shape the future of technology. This year, we grew our team from 4 to 14. We debuted our product on Product Hunt, and we debuted as number 2 of the day, which is an awesome achievement for us. And we've been able to take our product from an MVP to something that supports multiple pricing tiers and is being deployed across companies large and small. Finally, we've created over 300 trust centers. So people are using our product with their customers to grow through security. Thank you very much.
Oh, nailed it, Chase. That was superb. Well done. And our judges are coming back. I'm just checking if we have any questions coming through at this stage. Not yet, but Joseph has one.
Yeah, leading off, Chase, thank you very much. Can you give me a use case? I need to wrap my brain around where you all fit in best, market, segment, size, tier. Just pull me in on your most likely best use case scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you see it across all sizes of companies, wherever you're dealing with any sort of sensitive data, which used to just be an enterprise, but more and more that's moving downstream, even to smaller companies. We most often talk to people who have already created a DIY trust page, right? They've put a page on their website that talks about their security practices, so that when customers are looking to learn about what they're doing, they're able to find those answers quickly. The problem is those pages today are cobbled together. They're not instrumented into their CRM or other systems. So they lack a lot of the visibility and orchestration that you would want to do this process efficiently. So really anyone who's going through security reviews as well, that's where you start to feel even more of the deepest pain. One of the cool things our software does is your customers can come, upload their security questionnaires, and our AI will give you recommended answers to all those questions based on past questionnaires, as well as policies and everything else that you've uploaded into your Trust Center. A really easy way to think of it, it's like a help center for your customers, but for security.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Can I just add another question to that, is around the use cases, is like, for example, would just looking for the relationship between the buyer and the seller, right? The customer. And are you basically putting in the trust center for someone who is providing security or someone that is doing a different style of transaction. So this would be between me and Morgan Stanley, or it'd be between me and maybe somebody else, me being an enterprise, of course.
Yeah, so we're most often right now, we're selling to software vendors. They're our customers, right? So B2B SaaS in particular happens to be a great use case. And that's like our bread and butter. That said, a lot of times the person who's going to visit a trust center and look at it, that would be someone from Morgan Stanley, right? If they want to buy some new like financial planning software, they're giving that financial data. They want to make sure that stuff is protected. So whoever they're evaluating, if they're using a trust center, it's going to be easier to get their questions answered.
So ultimately both then, right? Yeah. So in essence, you would do it as a SaaS business, but also you could facilitate the secure transaction as well.
Yep.
Cool.
We have a quick question. Is this for IT department? Would IT departments gain trust in a vendor's solution?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Is this for IT departments to gain trust in a vendor's solution? Would that be an application?
Yep, yes. Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Richard, did you have a question there?
I did. You mentioned with your team things like best places to work and a couple of other things. Was that for this company or a prior company?
Yeah, sorry if that wasn't clear. Yeah, that was for the last company. So about half the team was at our last company where I was the CTO. So I was running product design, engineering in enterprise sales. So oftentimes when security questions came up, I was the guy that fell to. And as that pain started to be felt throughout more of our team as we grew, we looked for solutions to turn security into a competitive advantage and scale up the process of communicating it.
Got it. Thank you. And then I'm going to ask a liability question too, with regards to you verifying essentially third-party vendors, software systems. I mean, we saw a lot of issues with digital hygiene with regards to vendor engagement. How does that fall on you from a liability perspective if you're giving them the thumbs up?
Yeah, so we really just provide a platform to vendors that makes it easy for them to communicate what they're doing. Ultimately, they're responsible for what they're saying about what they're doing from a security standpoint. That said, one of the cool things about our AI is it can spot things like, if you said something here and you say something here, and those don't align, like one of these is probably wrong, which is really helpful to you as a vendor. Like you want to make sure, for example, your sales team isn't, misquoting a security policy or something. But also as a buyer, it's going to end up giving them more accurate answers. Many times today, buyers don't really have a great way to verify that folks are actually taking these steps. So in the future, we also want to provide real-time verification. So if I tell you, for example, that all my employees have 2FA enabled across all their apps, we can sync with a system like OXA that's going to actually be able to report out in real time and verify that that's actually happening.
I have a quick question is, someone who's been through one of these audits very recently, I could use something like this but it was actually more because it was really a one-time thing from our side. So I'm curious if you walk through just, your scaling kind of assumptions about how you would scale the business longer term.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a specific angle you're thinking about scaling from, like financially, or how we're going to grow?
Growing in tech.
1 minute.
Yeah. So, scaling the business, financially, the customer base. Like I get how you would probably do it on the other side as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we're pretty fortunate. Like I mentioned, we've raised around $5 million. So we've actually got 18 months of runway left in the business, assuming we're not bringing in revenue. The good news is we are bringing in revenue, which we're pretty pumped about. We're targeted to hit 1 million ARR, next June. And so that said, we won't be profitable yet. And so it's a great question. There's quite a few network effects in this process, right? Many of the people who are actually buying from a software vendor are software vendors themselves. And so when they experience how easy it is to buy when using a trust center, one of the first things they should be thinking about is how to bring that experience to their customers too. So we think we have a pretty strong product-led growth model. We're already seeing strong word of mouth and affinity with the product. So we're going to continue to invest in those areas. Also, moving upstream in sort of the needs of customers, like integrating with CRM is allowing us to increase that price point. We started around $50 a month. And this next month, we should be sending out contracts for $12K a year. And the next few months, it looks like we'll have the feature set to support, $60,000 a year contracts as well. So hopefully the stars align for us. But thank you. That's a great question.
And a great one to finish on. And thank you so much, Chase. That was absolutely excellent. And very best of luck in the voting. Thank you.
Kate.
Don't forget to make sure that you're giving feedback for all of the teams. We have one more to pitch, and I am delighted to introduce from Stash Global Inc. We have Janine Darling. Janine, please join me on the stage. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for inviting me to this wonderful presentation. So I'm Janine Darling. I am the founder and CEO of Stash Global. We are a data-centric security company. And before I tell you very much about Stash, I'd like to talk a little bit about some context that will make you understand Stash a little bit better. Ransomware, as everybody knows, has become an enormous deal. And during the pandemic, it expanded about 600%. And although the cybersecurity marketplace is quite large in general, this, of course, has made it even larger. It is a very difficult problem, and there are lots and lots of companies trying to solve it. But the problem is, even though there's lots of companies trying to solve it, we're still having millions and millions of breaches every day. The cybersecurity industry was a burgeoning marketplace 20 years ago, and now it's an economic juggernaut. But we're still having the same problems. So, what's wrong with this picture? The problem is that other companies are doing some great things with their technology, but they're doing it defensively. They were not built to protect data. They were built to protect the pipes, the things that data flows through, not the data itself. Stash has found the solution to ransomware, both the attack and the attacker, by protecting the data itself. Let me tell you a little bit about how it works. Because Stash protects the data itself and we save all the versions, when a ransomware attack happens, the admin simply goes into the dashboard and selects what he wants to or she wants to restore, clicks a button, and that data is restored. On the flip side, on the attacker side, the attacker has exfilled files which they're threatening to make public or destroyed. Well, you already have your files back, and although they have the files, they cannot get to the content of the files. So ransomware is absolutely solved with this solution. The outcome is that Stash eradicates a great many losses that all companies are concerned about. We have been asked to take our technology and expand it to 5G readiness. It is agnostic, ubiquitous. It is run from a dashboard by an admin. Users aren't involved at all. It is a very easy lift and low friction deployment that we take care of for customers in a matter of hours or days, depending upon the size of the customer. We have won quite a bit of recognition in the cyber community, and we did not approach them. They approached us. Red Hat has asked us to be in their marketplace where their salespeople sell from. And same thing with Oracle. We are an AWS partner and a Capital Factory cohort company. We have just been asked, as I've alluded to create a 5G readiness of our technology for the United States Air Force. It is a $1 to $5 million multi-phase project with the intent of rolling it out to the entire DoD afterwards. And based on that project, the Australian government got wind of it, and we are working with Oracle and ASG to do the same thing for the Australian government. Those are our two largest traction events to date. We have small traction with some beta customers. We have got a number of patents. We have got a number of other deals pending, and we are working with both large and smaller companies through business services companies, master agents, and also direct. We're in the process of raising a tandem round. Our very first round is a $1.5 million round, but we are talking to other investors right now about a larger round to take advantage of the swiftness with which this marketplace is evolving. There's nobody up. There's nobody else that has this solution, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about it.
Thank you so much, Janine. I'm going to bring the judges in very quickly. Thank you. Steve is here, and Richard and Joseph. Steve, you look like you have a question.
Yeah, so when I'm looking at first of all, thank you for the presentation. And if anything, you just made me more petrified, of all the data attacks, which is good.
I'm sorry I did that, but the point is to make you less petrified, because there really is a solution now. The efficacy of what we have developed is patented, and it really does what it says. Really does.
Right. So the level that you're protecting the data but not protecting the pipes, would you work in conjunction? So like a SolarWinds attack, actually SolarWinds would be a bad one, but an attack on, let's say, the infrastructure where we couldn't get the oil up the pipelines, which was less of a data attack and more of a hardware equipment attack, or like you see it against the buses in Baltimore. Would you work in tandem with those vendors, or would that be a separate revenue stream solution that you've come down the road? What would your relationship with that be? Because it seems like you solve the ransomware of the data side pretty elegantly.
So the ransomware solution is actually an expansion of our patented data-centric data governance platform. And to answer your question, we have designed the technology to either bolster or replace other technologies. It is modular. And because it's agnostic, it can work with any network or infrastructure or platform. It depends on a client's needs. They can either snap the whole thing on and over time understand how it replaces legacy or lower value tools, or they can just add it, because we actually fill a gap, right? The technologies that I compared us to, they're all great technologies. They're elegant. Many of them are fantastic, and they do serve a purpose. But with 50 billion endpoints all over the world, going to 80 billion in a matter of a few years, you can't stop every hack. And that's where we come in.
Can I jump in with a question that's coming from our other judges? There's two judges asking the same thing. How do you work to protect the files themselves? So are you encrypting the data?
So very top line, 30,000-foot view is we take files, we do encrypt them, we parse them into a number of pieces based on the patented algorithm with quantum-resistant keys. We scatter those pieces to a number of locations anywhere in the world. We support data sovereignty and localization, and so that provides data resilience as well.
Thank you. Joseph, sorry.
No, it's fine. So anytime I see stats that show all the success and all the traction, and yet you're a very young company raising money in that tandem round, I always have to ask the question, this sounds too good to be true. So why has no one built this before? And what makes you unique that your team built this where others maybe have thought, but didn't do it before? Why you and not someone before?
Sure. So let me tell you a little bit about my team. I am out of the business problem solving sector of business. I am a branding and operations expert, and my co-founder, my CTO.
We seem to have lost Janine. Is she backstage? I don't believe she is. Okay, if we can bring her back to answer any more questions, we shall. But while we have a moment, we will just run over some of the final details for the rest of the evening. So it's evening here. It's the middle of the night in England. So you've seen our 4 finalists, and I hope that you all now have your QR code clicked or your bit.ly link, which I think we have a reminder of there on screen. We'd love your thoughts in the moment, feedback for the individual finalists, who will also be answering comments on YouTube and so on. And this is your chance now to rank number 1 for first place, number 4 for last place. I know you want to put them all in first place, but you're not allowed to. So can we get those votes and feedback in as soon as possible, please, so that we can choose our audience champion? And of course, we have to choose our judges champion. So I would like, for the last, we've literally got 3 minutes left. would our judges please come back on stage and give us your final thoughts? Steve, over to you.
Happy to. All the companies were great. I know it's a challenge to do this in 2.5 minutes. That's why some of our questions were more clarifying questions. And I wasn't joking with Janine. I always come and look at these type of events and get more paranoid. I read the book Sandworm and then have nightmares. But it does give me hope, because the solutions we saw in previous events and other events that were not, from Cyber Pitch, even like 3 or 4 years ago, were just not as sophisticated as the ones we saw today. So as an industry, I think we are maturing, but partly because the threat is just so much stronger every year, as each of the speakers has pointed out. So it's very encouraging, and great presentations. Look forward to seeing who wins.
Yeah, it's going to be tight. That was fantastic, 4 amazing pitches. Joseph.
Yeah, I just want to thank Hatch Pitch. Thank you again for hosting, and Cyber Houston for organizing all this. I'll echo much of what Steve's saying. I mean, the fastest line of business growing in Gray Line Group, my company that I'm a part of, is in the world of cybersecurity. There's just not enough people right now paying attention to it. So I applaud you all. For all the entrepreneurs, members of the audience, judges, everybody involved, let's continue this conversation. It's more than just this one great event today, but it's all these conversations in the future. And I even clicked on all 4 of those buttons that said, I'd like to meet. And I clicked all 4 companies because I want to stay in touch.
Richard.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again for having me. Great job, all companies pitching today. Certainly addressing critical issues that we have here in the U.S. and abroad with regards to our companies, especially now that, as both other judges alluded to, we're in a brand new world when it comes to cybersecurity. We are actually at war with other countries. A lot of people don't know that. We're not at war on the battlefield. We're at war on the internet. So great to see these innovative solutions here today, and everyone as well in the audience. Looking forward to engaging with all of you and watching you grow your companies as well.
Fantastic. It just remains for me to thank our judges, and you see on screen, to Steve, to Joseph, to Richard, to our judges that are sitting on the YouTube channel and making their votes alongside our 3 judges here. And to you, the audience, please make sure that you get your responses in. We have a huge number of responses coming in so far. You have 15 minutes to get those votes in, and all of our finalists are answering questions on the YouTube channel. So get on there, ask them any questions that you think haven't been answered. They have their chance to continue to tell you all about their fantastic pitches. Please come back to us at, let me see, it's going to be 11 o'clock at night here, so 5 o'clock, we will be announcing the winners of the Audience Award and the Judges Award, and we are very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, we have to be super careful here, because if we get this wrong, all hell can break loose. So our judges, and really want to thank Kate. You did a fantastic job on getting us on track again after, of course, I managed to get us off track by about 3 or 4 minutes. Hey, that's what I do. Thanks to Joseph Kopser, Stephen Forte, Richard Manassi. You guys did a great job. Just really, I love the flow of it. And the other judges that we saw in the YouTube were just blowing it up. It's just fantastic. The flow is great, and all the startups were answering them as well. So we are going to announce 2 awards today. Well, we're going to announce 4 awards. The first one is the crowd favorite. Now, everybody that is not an official judge, but is in the audience and who submitted a judge form, this is for you. So this is basically where everybody in the world got to vote, got to be a judge, got to give feedback, and we're so appreciative of it. We do have a ton. really, it's like 4 times as much as we had last year, Kate.
Yes, it is.
My colleague Josh is going to love this because I'm going to give him the job of parsing it out and making sure we get it all packaged up correctly. The Judges Awards is basically the official first, second, and third place of the event. The startups that pitched today, and if you can just pull their slides up. Yeah, Allthenticate with Chad, RankedRight with Thomas, we just saw them, Chase Lee and Trustpage, and then the last one to pitch was Janine Darling with Stash. And as you remember, Janine got cut off, so her final question wasn't answered, and that may or may not have played a big role in the results. But yeah, what do you think in there, Kate?
What's really interesting was the different solutions that were presented by the startups. They are incredibly important now that we're moving so many things online. We've got the digital transformation starting to hit in all different sectors. I'm doing a lot of work with fintechs at the moment, and having cybersecurity baked in to the very start of any project is so essential. And it's great to see these applications that are that are speaking to companies to make this easier for them. It can only be a good thing. It really is.
Absolutely, and really what's great is putting those out in front of the audience that is at Cyber Houston is really important as well, because these are some of the largest companies in the world actually are based here in Houston. And it's really good for them to see some of this innovation coming through. And I just love the fact that we've got some really unique solutions to the problems that these large companies are going to face, as well as everybody. Let's go ahead and Iggy, bring up with a bit of a drum roll the favorite of the overall audience, and we're going to give that one to Allthenticate. And oh, do we have? We have Chad.
I'm gonna grab my
Oh my goodness, he's got his whole team. Put them up, make them big, Iggy.
Thank you guys so much. It is an honor.
So well done. You have a lot of friends in the audience that were watching today, and that's very, very cool. That or otherwise you did some sort of a bot job on us. Either one is doable.
For everyone who voted for us,
Thank you so much for tuning in.
Look now, judges. There are actually a good question. How many judges? There's well over 20. I saw easily over 20 judges have voted here. Probably a lot more, but I don't want to overstate it.
It is worth reminding everyone that these 4 companies are finalists. They are the creme de la creme. They have won already by being here, and they are in front, as you say, of some of the biggest companies in the world.
Yep. Thanks. You're absolutely right. Josh, you got to give a shout out to Josh Weibling. What a job picking through all the companies that applied and finding us these 4. Let's talk about the third place. And this is the place that the judges that you saw on the screen, as well as the judges that you saw on the YouTube asking questions in the feed. The third place goes to Trustpage.
Yay!
Hey,
well done,
Chase. Well done.
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
All right.
There you go.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All righty. No, good. Well done. And again, putting you up here and making sure that the audience can see this is somebody you're going to see walking the halls of the companies here in Houston, and he's going to be solving problems for you, the audience. So thank you, Chase. We look forward to seeing you.
Yep. Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Kate.
All righty. Moving on with the second place, and the second place goes back to that team. So hopefully you're still there, Allthenticate, because you are judged as the second place. Uh-huh.
We are still here. Thank you so much.
All righty. So the judges thought that you guys...
This is a huge honor.
Yeah, I guess you get the most coverage of the whole group. So it's worthwhile winning that audience award, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
for
yes.
sure.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you so much to all the judges. Thanks for believing in us. And yeah, we'll definitely see you around for sure.
Awesome. We'll see you back on the WhatsApp group in a moment. And then finally, and do you have any final words to say before we...
No, let's
this
put
one?
everyone out of their misery and then see if we
All
can
right.
bring all of the wash hands. let's bring all of the finalists back in after we have made this final announcement.
So yeah, Janine, that final question didn't do you any damage. The winner is Stash Global.
Wow, thank you so much. How exciting.
Yeah.
I'm so pleased that even though you have your doubts if it's for real, that you liked it well enough. All I can say, and I've had trouble getting onto the YouTube chat. I did put a response to the last question in private chat. All I can say is, come and kick the tires. You're going to be really pleased with what you see, because what we've tried really hard to do is to think about this massive problem in a different way and make it very easy to administer and take users out of it completely, right? Because users are the weakest link, all of us users. So thank you. I'm so thrilled.
Yeah. So this does mark the second year in a row that our winner has actually been on the road while they were pitching. So last year our winner was at an airport. This year, Janine, you just barely are not in an airport. Where are you?
No, I actually made it from San Antonio to Austin, and I got into the hotel where I had quite a lot of internet trouble. They had to come up and rewire the room. So, the whole thing was just it's really a lot. But I'm very glad that I made it and got to share what is a real labor of love for the Stash team. So thank you for that.
Fantastic. Well done, and thank the travel gods for allowing you to join
Indeed.
us. Honestly, I did have sleepless nights last night thinking, oh my goodness, what if there's a huge delay and she's not here? So now I can go and sleep probably just before Kate even gets to sleep. Thanks, Janine, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Do we still
Oh,
have
yeah. If we have everybody.
finalists?
Yeah,
Do we
let's
still have finalists? We have
do a
Chase.
big shout out to all the
Chad,
finalists.
We have Thomas, we have Janine.
We have
Congratulations to all of you.
Yes, congratulations to everyone. I love listening to all the solutions.
Yeah, fantastic. And again, to the audience, these are the people you're going to see selling you the solutions of tomorrow to your cybersecurity problems. Really appreciate all of you guys being on and doing really upping the game here at HatchPitch and at CyberPitch 2021. We look forward to following your trajectories, and good luck to all of you. Really appreciate it.
Good luck and well done.
Awesome. Thank you so much for hosting such an awesome event. This was great.
Alrighty.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Now, we're getting close. I do need to thank the HatchPitch team. Now, there's a very large team of maybe 100 people behind the scenes here that are helping us to find startups, to market, to do all the things, as well as the selection and the judging. Special call out to Josh Weibling, as I did earlier. Josh is the one who pulled the startups together for this particular event. You did a great job, Josh. Somebody that I'm sure everybody has seen on YouTube and on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook is Melanie Monique. Melanie has been just giving us a new life in terms of our social media. Thank you so much, Melanie. She's also our performance coach. She's joins us from South by Southwest, where She is also a performance coach and going to be playing a huge role in the South by Southwest pitch coming up in March. Iggy, again, you may not have seen him on the channel, but he's been in the background manipulating all of everything that you see and hear going on today, and thanks very much. Jawad, thank you. You did all the judging, made sure that our judging process all worked, so really appreciate that. Mariam, just coordinating everything behind the scenes for us. Thank you so much. Absolutely couldn't have done it without you. Now, coming up next, our next event is going to be, we hope, is going to be in person at South by Southwest in March. In fact, we think it's going to be March the 14th. We encourage everybody to come and join us for that event. We will live stream it. It's something that Iggy's been helping us to do for about 6 years now. So we will have it live streamed, but it will be in person. Unless we change, it's going to be an invite-only event. So make sure that you are signed up in some way, shape, or form with HatchPitch so that we can invite you, because it's not open to the public. Startups can apply as of today for the 2022 HatchPitch Summit. Reach out to us on social media, and we look forward to seeing you. Thanks everybody for participating. It's just so great to see the participation. And as soon as I can see that you're here, Phil, I'm going to yield the floor to you.
Thanks.
All righty.
Thank you, Greg, Kate, HatchPitch team, the companies, the judges. That was awesome.